Auxiliary tools. Hi guys, so we have finished studying various Photoshop tools and we will have auxiliary elements that allow us to make work more convenient and orderly. These include rulers, guides and grids. Let's start with the rulers. To invoke them, you need to press Ctrl+R keyboard shortcut or go to the View menu and select Rulers. Two rulers appear. One of them is on the top of the screen and the other on the left. If you right-click on the ruler, then you can choose the unit of measurement that is convenient for you. Now, if I zoom in on the image, then I will see that upper left corner is the 0 point, and the size on the x-axis and on the y-axis is calculated from it. But rulers are not enough to set some sizes, and here the guides can help us. The guides are hidden under the rulers. If I point the cursor on the ruler, hold down the left mouse button and stretch my hand to the right, then, as you can see, I have such a vertical line, next to which its location on the x-axis is shown, and I can set this line to the distance I need. Similarly, you can pull the guide out from under the top ruler, and there can be as many of these guides as you want. That is, I can somehow place my workspace and already put the elements I need inside it. Let's look at a practical example of how it might look. Let's look at this layout, the flat composition, which was created just with the help of guides. By the way, when saving a file in PSD format, the guides are also saved, and it can be enabled using the Ctrl+H keyboard shortcut, and you can disable them in the same way. And pay attention, the various objects are displayed exactly according to the guides. For example, I have two guides on the left and right. The text on the left, the logo, and the text on the right are also aligned with the guides. It's a vertical alignment. At the same time, text blocks are aligned vertically. And here the text are aligned. If we zoom in on all this even closer, we can see that there are also certain patterns in the horizontal distribution of elements. And I also want to show you now that the guides can be moved. For example, I want to make the upper border to the text coincide with the border or the slit. I move the cursor to the guide. It changes the view. I drag the guide here and align the text. That is, I can take and lower the text a little and at the same time move it to the right, so that my right edge also coincides with the guide. And if you noticed, when I bring the text to the guide, it kind of sticks. When you do it, you'll understand what I mean. It is kind of magnetized to the guide. This happens because Snap to the Guides option is enabled. We can go to the view in the top menu, select Snap to and choose Guides. And here we can also fix the guides so that they don't move. Let me now move this guide here and move the text to it in this way. If you click on the guide several times, the guide settings window appears, where you can, for example, set their color. We leave it as it is. This may be necessary if, for example, the color of the guide you have coincides with the color of your image and it's poorly visible. In this case, you can change the color. Also, if you go to the View menu and select a new guide, then here you can immediately set the exact vertical and horizontal location of this guide. Of course, this distance will be measured by the rulers. Thus, you can create a layout in exact dimensions. And with the help of the guides, you can divide the sheet in percentage ratio. To do this, we go into the View menu and select a new guide. And here, where we had millimeters, we put, for example, 50% and press Enter. Now we have guides exactly in the center. We select New Guides again, choose the horizontal one and also set 50%. And that's how the center of our document is found. And we can divide this document in any proportions. There is another interesting feature that allows us to distribute various fragments of our image. For example, let's take a shape that is already familiar to us. I have just drawn a rectangle with rounded edges. These are often used in the website menus. I take the Move tool and press Alt. And look, I drag my rectangle and immediately it aligns vertically and the distance between these blocks is shown. So I can draw one rectangle here, then select, hold down the Alt again, draw the third, maintaining some distance. It may also seem useful to you. And the last element I wanted to show you is the grid. In order to see it, you need to go to the menu, View, Show, and select the grid. By the way, here you can turn on and off the grids too. A grid appears. If you zoom in on this grid, you can see that the size of these large cells, which are selected in a brighter color, is 25 mm. But you can of course set your own grid sizes, if it will be convenient for you. To do this, go to Edit, Preferences and select the grids and slices. And here you can set space between lines and the units of measurement that you need. The grid is very often used in design, and it's almost an indispensable tool. I recommend that you try to see where all this is. Try to turn it on and off, and let's see how we can apply the grid on the example of this image. I turn on the grid. View, Show, Grid. Now I have a grid and knowing its size. I can draw some elements. For example, I can create a frame or edit some blocks. Well, let's make a frame. First, I'll snap it to this grid. We'll go to the View and select Snap to the Grid option. After that, the selected area will stick to the borders of the grid. I count 2 squares on the side and 2 squares on top and draw the selected area. This is the selected area I got. Then I invert it. Press Shift plus Ctrl plus I and copy to a new layer by pressing Ctrl plus J. So we hide the grid, Ctrl plus H. I have a grid, but I don't see it. I turn on a multiply mode. I get such a smooth frame for this image. Now let's talk about homework. I will provide you with all the elements of this image, but it's not necessary to repeat this design. You can create your own design and even use your own images. The main thing is that grids are used in this design. The second homework task will be to create such a simple frame using the grid tool. And it's all for today. It was Peter Romanov and AIM School. See you next time.